Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be exploring some different ways to use naan flatbread. So if that's of any interest to you, come on, go with me and let's see what's cooking today. Let's start this first recipe off. I've put some olive oil in my skillet back here and I've turned it on a medium heat. You're going to need some onion. This is half of a small onion. And I'm just going to cut me some strips off in here. I think that'll be enough. Just going to let that start sauteing up. Now you also want some pre-cooked grilled chicken. You can either grill it yourself or buy it like I do. This is what I like to use. I've taken about half this package. Now that comes in strips, so I have taken it and I've cut it in smaller pieces. And I'm just going to add it in with my onion. Mine is still partially frozen because I do keep it in the freezer. So I'm going to need that to also be thawing out and heating through. I'm also going to be adding in some peppers. This is just a frozen pepper blend. And I'm going to go ahead and, I don't have very much left in here. I'm going to use about half of it though. I don't need it all. I'm just making this for one person. I think that's going to be enough. I am going to add a little onion powder, garlic powder, and black pepper. I'm going to add in just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Just get that Worcestershire sauce stirred in really well with your chicken and your veggies. Now if there's any of these ingredients that you don't like, then just leave them out. While my chicken, peppers, and onions are getting heated through and softened, I'm going to go ahead and get this ready. Now I've got just a pan that I have lined with foil because I don't want to mess if the cheese should leak out. But you want to take one piece of naan flatbread. You got the two halves of your bread. This is going to be the inside for me, and this is going to be the outside. So I'm going to lay this with the outside part of my bread facing up. And I'm going to take just a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to drizzle on it. I'm just going to take my hand and rub that in. Now you can use a brush if you want to. I'm not getting fancy here today. You just want a little bit. Now this is optional. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of Italian seasoning to the outside of that also. Maybe enough of it will stick that it'll give it a little bit of added flavor. Again, I'm just going to kind of take my hand and rub that in to that oil and that bread, so that hopefully some of it sticks on there. I forgot I had this hiding off in my pantry. I've got a little garlic parmesan seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of that on there also. I'm going to do the same thing with it that I did with the Italian seasoning. Now, these are all optional. You do not have to use these seasonings at all. Now I'm going to take my flatbread and I'm going to flip it over. Now I'm going to layer this, and I'm going to start with an Italian blend cheese. Now you use mozzarella. I didn't have any mozzarella, but I do have this, and I need to finish this off. On half of this piece of flatbread, I'm going to put me a little layer of some of my Italian cheese. Then I'm going to take some spinach, and I'm going to layer that on top of the cheese. Now you put however much you want. Next, I'm going to take my chicken with my peppers and my onions, and I'm going to layer that on top of the spinach. That already looks delicious. I'm going to add the last of my Italian blend cheese onto here. I'm going to kind of mash that down. And last but not least, I'm going to be adding me a little twist. I'm going to add a little feta cheese to the top. It's crumbled feta. This is going to give it a nice little kick. A lot of extra added flavor. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it over. Now we're going to pop this in a 400-degree oven until the cheese is all nice and melty. Here's our sandwich, hot out of the oven. I'm going to get this plated up and we'll get it cut. Here's my beautiful toasted grilled chicken naan-wich. Let's give it a taste. Now I left mine in the oven for about 5 minutes. That's fine for me. You can leave it in there for longer or less. So here we go. I'm trying to keep things from falling out, but we're going to take us a bite. Oh yeah. This naan-wich is so good. All those different flavors together, the feta cheese in there with the chicken and veggies and the spinach and the Italian cheese. But you gotta go make you one of these. That's delicious. I'm gonna go eat. It's me again. So tonight for dinner, Keith has requested spaghetti. So I'm going to be taking some of this naan flatbread, and I'm going to make us some delicious breadsticks using one piece of this naan. I'm not going to film my entire dinner of making the spaghetti because that is not what this video is about. So you just get in that kitchen and make the pasta of your choice. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with one piece of this naan flatbread. Got me a pan, and I'm going to take one piece of my naan flatbread. Going to get that laid on my pan. I've put about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of butter in a bowl. I'm going to stick it in the microwave and melt it down. Now that I've got my butter melted down, let's add some seasoning to it. Now, of course, we're going to add some garlic powder. You can use garlic salt if you want to. I'm going to use a little onion powder. I'm going to use a little bit of Italian seasoning. I'm also going to add in a little bit of this Kinder's buttery garlic and herb. Now I'm just going to mix that all around in that butter. Now we're just going to take a brush. We're going to put this all over the naan bread. Just brush it all over it. It smells so good. And here you go. We're going to have some delicious buttery garlic toast made with naan bread. I'm going to cut it into strips whenever it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to pop in the oven on 400 degrees for between 5 and 10 minutes. I've got my pasta back here boiling like crazy, and my meat sauce is simmering. But y'all aren't here for that. Y'all are here for the bread. Just waiting on it to come out of the oven. And here's our naan garlic bread, fresh out of the oven. I'm going to let it sit for just a second, let it cool cool down just a little bit, and then we're going to get it sliced. And there we go, ready to eat. I got my taste tester in the house. He's going to taste our naan garlic bread for us.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
On to the next recipe. We're starting this off by taking a pound of sausage. I'm going to get that browned up in this skillet back here. I have it on a medium heat. Now, I'm not going to be using this entire pound of sausage. I am going ahead and cooking it all, and we'll take what I don't use today and I will put it in the freezer so that it is ready for some quick meals later on. Okay, I'm just going to start getting this broke up. Now that we've got this all broken up, I'm going to let it just start browning up. Nobody wants to sit around and watch that happen, so I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. This is almost finished browning up. Just a couple more minutes, I think, and we'll be finished. But leave me a comment below and let me know what your favorite breakfast sausage is. I'm just curious. I know everybody has their own taste, and everybody always has their favorite. So just drop a comment below. My sausage has finished browning. So I've got me a bowl, and I've got some paper towels in it. Since I'm not using this entire pound of sausage, I'm going to be putting it in this bowl and letting it drain on these paper towels. Normally I would just take paper towels and put in the skillet and drain the grease off. I'm not doing it that way because I'm going to be also using this skillet to cook my eggs in. So this is just my preferred way of doing this today. Next, I'm going to make a gravy. Now, I'm not going to make a homemade gravy today. Today, I'm going to be using this prepackaged gravy mix. Now, you can use whatever prepackaged mix you have, and you're going to make it according to the package directions. If you want to do homemade, by all means, do homemade. But I'm going to take 1 3/4 cup of water. I'm going to put that in my saucepan. I'm going to take my gravy mix. I'm going to pour the whole thing in. And I'm going to start whisking that up. I'm going to whisk it until there's not any lumps in it anymore. And this is going to start thickening up. Now, even though this is a peppered gravy mix that I'm using, there's never enough pepper in it for me. So I'm going to be adding in a little bit of black pepper. Now that's better. This is starting to thicken up. So I'm going to turn it on low. And I'm going to take about half of my browned sausage. And I'm going to put it in this gravy. Just going to let that simmer for just a couple of minutes. Now it's been a few minutes. My sausage gravy is nice and thick. Now I'm going to pull this off the heat and set it to the side for just a minute. And I'm going to get an egg cooked up. Maybe 2 eggs. So I've got 2 eggs cracked in my bowl. I broke one of my yolks. That's okay. I'm going to add me a little splash of milk. I'm just going to get this mixed up. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper, a little bit of onion powder, and a little bit of garlic powder. And I'm just going to get that mixed up. Got got my pan back here on a medium heat, and I'm going to put in just a little bit of avocado oil. You use whatever oil you have. And I have just a little bit of this pepper trio left in my freezer. So we're going to get rid of this today. Now I'm just going to let these peppers thaw out. I'm going to let them saute up just a little bit. Now I've gone back and forth trying to decide whether I wanted to put onion in this or not, because I am going to be using some green onion on the top. But I do really love the flavor. So I have about 1/4 of a small onion here, and I'm going to slice it into this pan with these peppers. Our peppers and onions are almost finished. This would be absolutely delicious if you had some fresh peppers and you roast them in the oven to put on this. Oh, that would be delicious. These are ready. And the way I'm going to do mine, I'm going to put them in this bowl right here. And then I'm going to cook up my scrambled egg. True, I could cook them in with my eggs, but that's not the way that I want to do it. So I'm not doing it that way. Now I'm going to take me about a tablespoon of butter. Put in that pan, let it melt down. I've got a piece of Naan Flatbread, an entire piece, on a pan. I'm going to pop it in the oven for just a couple of minutes to let it start toasting up some. Meanwhile, let's get these eggs cooked up. My eggs are ready, so we're going to pull them off the heat. Okay. My naan has heated up just a little bit. I didn't want it fully cooked, or fully crisped up. It's hard for me to say that word. But we're making a naan breakfast pizza. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing assembled. Now, here's my gravy. It's still warm. We're only going to be using about half of this, if that. I'll be using the rest of it in another recipe. So we're going to start by using this as our sauce. And you're just going to layer it onto your naan bread. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of cheese to the top of this gravy, which is my sauce. And I'm going to be using a mild white cheddar. Next, I'm going to add my scrambled eggs. So the reason that I didn't cook my eggs in with my peppers was because I wanted mine layered a certain way. But you can definitely, if you're using peppers and onions, you can definitely cook them in with your eggs. Next, I'm going to add on my peppers and onions. So next, I'm going to add some more of my shredded white cheddar cheese to the top. And I'm going to add some green onions to the top of mine. Now this is also optional. You're going to build your breakfast pizza any way you want to build it. So if you want to add mushrooms, you add mushrooms. If you want spinach, add you some spinach on. But this is how I want my pizza. So I'm going to pop it in a 400-degree oven until this cheese is starting to get melty and bubbly. Here's my naan breakfast pizza, fresh out of the oven. It was in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes, and then I turned it on broil to broil it for just a little bit. Just keep an eye on it so you don't burn it. Let's get this cut up. Okay, I've got it all cut. I'm going to get me this little small piece right here to try it. This looks delicious. I need to add one more thing. I'm going to add just a little bit of hot sauce to mine. Now let's give this a taste. Okay, y'all. This looks and smells delicious. I've had pizzas on Naan Flatbread before, but I've never done a breakfast pizza. So let's get you up close and personal with the pizza for just a minute, and we're going to give this a taste. It's still pretty hot. We're just going to go for it. Mmm. This is delicious. I know it's a breakfast pizza, or that's what it's called. I would even eat this for dinner, so, you know. Just a different way to make a pizza. This is going to be my final recipe using the naan bread for this video. I have one more piece. Now mine came in a 4-pack. Yours may come in a larger pack, I don't know. But I'm going to take this last one and I'm just going to lay it on this piece of foil. Now I'm going to take me about 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm going to put it in this little bowl. And I'm going to melt that down in the microwave. Now I flipped my naan over so that this part is on the outside for now. That's going to be the bottom side when I put this in the oven and when I start assembling this. So I'm taking my melted butter and I'm just going to brush all over. Now you can use more or less butter or none at all. Just depends on what you want and what you like. But I do suggest popping this in the oven for just a few minutes on about 350 to 400 degrees. You just want this to crisp up just a little bit. Okay, I've got my naan flatbread out of the oven. It's still very hot. I just let it toast up just a little bit with that butter on it. I've got it transferred onto my wooden cutting board. I'm going to flip this over because I want that other side to be the back side. Now I'm going to take some of this whipped cream cheese. Yours does not have to be whipped. But if it's in a block, I suggest that however much you're going to use, that you let it come to room temp before you try to spread it. So we're just going to put just a little bit on here. Just a little bit more. And I'm going to get that spread onto this flatbread. This next ingredient is optional. You can add sugar if you'd like. I'm not going to be using regular sugar. I'm going to be using some of this monk fruit sweetener. It's 1 for 1 for sugar. I'm just going to sprinkle some onto my cream cheese. And next, I'm going to take some strawberries. Now, you can use whatever fruit you want to use. If you want to use blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, doesn't matter. Find you a berry or some kind of fruit. And I'm just going to start layering this fruit on here. I'm using strawberries because I had some strawberries that were on their way to going bad. Now, I would rather use them for something like this since I wasn't intending to really eat strawberries today. Let me get that little leaf off of there. But since I wasn't intending on eating just strawberries by themselves today, I don't want to throw these out. So I'm going to get them put on here. And I'll have a yummy dessert pizza instead of throwing them away. That's starting to really look delicious. I am going to take just a little bit more of my monk fruit sweetener. And I'm going to sprinkle some of that on top of my strawberries. Now this next ingredient is also optional. I was talking to my 14-year-old granddaughter the other day about making this pizza. And she said, well, you are going to put chocolate on it, aren't you? And I said, oh my gosh, I never even thought about chocolate. So I'm going to be using some of these. I'm going to take some and I'm going to melt them down in the microwave. I think that should be plenty. I cannot believe that me, of all people, who absolutely loves chocolate, never thought to do this. Thank you, Gracie. It's pretty cloudy outside today, so I did turn on another light. Hopefully you can see this okay. But I have my melted chocolate. I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to drizzle it all over the top of these strawberries. I say drizzle. It's still a little thick. I may have to add a little bit of coconut oil to it. I'm not going to. You can do that if you need to. I'm just going to go ahead with this process. I think it's going to be fine either way. And that should do it. Okay, there is my dessert pizza. I'm going to get this cut up and we'll get us a taste of it. Okay, y'all. This pizza looks so good. I cut it in 3 pieces and then I cut those pieces in half. So my strawberries are falling off. That's okay. Still gonna be good and I can put those strawberries back on. So let's take a bite of this and see what it tastes like. Oh, y'all, go make you a dessert pizza. This is delicious. And thank you, Gracie, for the suggestion of the chocolate. Still can't believe I didn't think of that. I love chocolate. I hope you've enjoyed today's video on different ways of using naan flatbread. Savory, sweet, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Leave me a comment below and tell me what your favorite way of using naan flatbread is. If you liked the video, go give it a thumbs up. Share the video. Leave me a comment below and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one.